is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. To get champion, we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the BNP. People say the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it does now come rest. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We get champion.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
Yes, pleasant morning, my people. Right. Let me just just do an umbrella welcome to you all. Right. In saying thank you all to tune in with Mystic Sensation on the midday vibration. Right. I think 1 p.m. our time, 2 p.m. Jamaica time. Right, we want to say welcome to you all. Right, I will be joined later by, of course, Pinks and Melting Pot. Right, so of course, let us warm up the vibes for today before I go into some of the subject matter. We have seen that the Jamaica Labour Party came out with their press release. And my Jamaican people, obviously, in terms of what we heard from Christopher Tufton and Abka Fitz-Henley, right, and Kamina Johnson, that, you know, they are trying to normalize corruption in Jamaica, right? Now, the fact of the matter, in terms of, you know, they want to try to say that the election was fair and integrity. We know otherwise. My Jamaican people, we all see the evidence, right? And one should look in terms of, right, the evidence that we have, right, and what we are presenting, and the effort in terms of, you know, what they are doing in trying to delegitimize social media while they are using social media. And their attempt to delegitimize social media will never work. The Prime Minister himself has a social media platform, right? And the Jamaica Labour Party used social media, right? Particularly in terms of winning, right? The general election, right? 2020. We have seen where Hero Clark, right, the Deputy House Speaker, went into Parliament and have no hesitation in highlighting their vloggers and congratulating their vloggers to bring home the victory for them. So you see the convenient use of vloggers when they are using it, right, and spewing lies, misinformation and disinformation, my Jamaican people. Guess what? Nothing wrong with it when they are using it. However, when they are on the opposing end, right, everything is wrong. And, you know, it's time now that, you know, apart from the politics, in terms of being fair and balanced, and I'm talking individually to all the persons, right, we can look and we can say that, okay, based on the evidence that we are seeing, witnessing the evidence, right, Jamaica Labour Party, right, you are just not telling the truth. So what Abka Fitz-Henley has been doing, and Christopher Tufton, and when you hear particularly Christopher Tufton, I have a problem with Christopher Tufton, and one of the reasons why I have a problem with Christopher Tufton as a result of the ministry that Christopher Tufton responsible for, and that ministry had missing billions of dollars to the tune of $800 billion being missing. And all that Christopher Tufton coming out to do, right, spinning the lies, right, in terms of the amount of money being utilized there, right? So we have a problem with Christopher Tufton, right? Because this goes to show you that everything that Christopher Tufton is speaking about as it relates to healthcare, whenever we have serious situations, video and serious people complaining about the hospital situation, right? Christopher Tufton find ways and means to spin it. And I am wondering at what point Christopher Tufton is going to really wake up and realize that Jamaican people, right? You are hurting Jamaican people, right? You are definitely hurting Jamaican people, Christopher Tufton, right? It can't be that you are operating or responsible for a critical ministry like healthcare, and you are telling these lies, even when people have the evidence. So many evidence coming out, telling you, showing you, Christopher Tufton, the condition of the healthcare system. And all you, instead of you admit to the fault, right? Let us bring Pinks. Let us bring up Spinks to the stage. Oh, geez. All right. All right, Spinks, let me just bring you up there. All right. Listen, Spinks, welcome to the floor.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, it can't be Christopher Tufton, right? That you know the situation with the healthcare. You know what Jamaican people are facing. You came out and you spent billions. You knocked your chest in Parliament that there is no other ministry, no other administration in the history of our politics that spend the amount of money being spent. But apart from you saying that, Christopher Tufton, that money that you claim that you have spent and that your administration spent the most, what Jamaicans are saying, what the Auditor General is saying also, that you need to show the value for the money that you claim that you spent. And this is where we have a problem with you, Christopher Tufton. People are hurting under your PR. People are genuinely hurting under your PR. Your PR is not administering the health care that needed. No, and we look now in terms of how you know came out, right? Trying to now defect away from the truth as it relates to this general election. At some point, you have to take an introspection. All three of you I'm talking. Kamina Johnson, After Fitz-Henley, right? People's lives cannot be caught up in your mix and your twist of the truth. People's lives, right? You have to give an account as it relates to what you are doing. The truth be told, Andrew Holness is the worst prime minister. And we have the evidence of that. The truth be told, Andrew Holness had led a corrupted administration. We have the evidence to prove that. The truth be told, Andrew Holness is operating a kleptocratic government. And the truth be told, you people are normalizing corruption in the country. And that's the truth. Today I'm going to come out with some evidence because, remember, you claim that the country is running good. You cut poverty from 18% to 9%. You claim that you limit the inflation, unemployment under 3%. And all of these are just genuine lies. Genuine lies. Before we go any further, let me just bring Lady Spinks to meet and greet our wonderful people. Sister Spinks, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, my friends and everyone in the chat. I want to say good afternoon to my Jamaicans locally and overseas. Good afternoon to Comrade Leader, our chairman, chairwoman, Jensek, and my 63 candidates, and all my blood and fire comrades, especially my friends and family from the PNP family, from St. James, especially from the constituency of Northwest St. James. Good afternoon. I know it's raining here now because we don't have water in our pipes up to this day. And I yield the floor to you, Uncle Byron.
All right, thank you for that, Lady Spinks. Really appreciate that, my sister. Right, let us juggle until Melting Pot come on board. All right, while we are juggling, I want to show my Jamaican people of the breakdown of the general election per constituency. So we're going to go through that before we go into some of the stuff that we need to highlight as well. So let me just get and share this information with you as I receive them. Let us get in Jamaican election 25 result. Just showing this right to our people. Let us quickly go through this. Right, so here it is. Just running through the result here. At Kingston Western, Desmond McKenzie able to pool 8,475 votes, that 85.84%. Joseph Witter, 1,364 votes there, 13.82%. And Ricardo Williams, 34 votes, 0.34%. To the Kingston Central area, Donovan Williams from the JLP, 4,832. Right, that's a 50%, 50.29%, and Steve McGregor, 4,753, 49.47%. Right, Garnet Barnett, right, with 23 votes, 0.24%. Kingston East and Port Royal, Philip Powell, right, had given Courtney Burnett such a whopping, my God, look at that. Philip Powell was able to pool 6,255, right? That's 79.87%. And Courtney Burnett from the JLP, able to pool 1,472. While George Williams, right, 104, 1.33%. St. Andrew West Rural with Juliet Cuthbert Flint, she was able to pool 8,414. 53.53%. Joan Gardley Webley, so she had beaten Joan Gordon Webley there, pooled 7,235, right, 46.03%, right. We really sad, we had lost that one. St. Andrew Western, George Hilton from the PNP, 8,115, 64.19%, right, of the voters there. Corey Dunkley, 4,443%. And Carla Francis from the Independent, JPP, right, 84, 0.66%. St. Andrew West Central, Andrew Warnes. This is the constituents that still in some problem, right? I would say for this one, right, some legal issues, right, may come of this. So we are not sure in terms of the status on this one yet, because the People's National Party is still querying information, right, and investigation pending. So, you know, as it is though, right, he was able to stole 7,054 votes, and Paul Buchanan were able to generate so far 4,953. If you notice what I said about Andrew Oness, he was able to steal. Did I say to stole? What happened to my grammar? To steal. I have to laugh at that. 7,054. Some things, sometimes when we come out for the grammar, boy, it sound like a donkey grammar, right? But you have to correct that. All right. Dennis Garden from the PNP, 6,709, 61.17%. And Davian Vassell, 4,171. Angela Brown Burke, yes, man. Angela Brown Burke, solid in her constituency, full representation, can't get rid of her, man. 8,575, 93.30. So Angela Brown Burke of that solid beating the Maroon Lorna. Where she go? 583 with 6.34%. And Jamar Watson, 17, 0.818% for the INDB. I really don't know about this party. And Anthony Wind, JPP, 0.1%. Let us go to St. Andrews Southern. Mark Golden, all right, 9,371 votes being generated here in the most honest way, right? Carlton Allen only generate 1,183, right? So when you look at the amount of votes, let us get back to something here, people. When you look into the amount of votes that Mark Golden generated, you see that Mark Golden, right? Love, right? More loved than Andrew Holness and carrying more power. Look at this. Andrew Holness only 7,054, although depending on the constituency size. But I mean, trust me, the evidence is there. You understand? Mark Golden is getting all the love, right? St. Andrew Southeastern, Julian Robinson, 5,418, right? To Kirk Firth, JLP, 3,137. Kamani Lynch from the UIC, 34. Favour Williams, 6,824, right? Votes there. Patricia Duncan, Sutherland. So Patricia Duncan run really a very hard battle there. You know, a little bit, roughly about 3% difference there. Delroy Chuck, 5,294. Stacey Knight, 3,707. This was one of the seats that we were vying for. We think would have taken home this, but for some reason, right, we haven't managed to take home this, right? Maybe that goes to voter suppression and other things. Delana Steve Wright, 5,769, and Christopher Henry, 3,317. Dwayne Simmet, 6,546. Etna Miller Simpson from the PNP, 4,443. Orlando Robinson, JPP, 114. Juliet Honest, 9,364. I presume might be some of the dead people them counts in this, you know. Some of the dead people vote counts. Not the dead people votes. Some of the dead people counts meaning this, right? Patrick Peterkin, 8,498. So a very close run, but might be the dead people that pull over Juliet Owens over the finishing line. We have to talk the thing as how the thing going on. Kamisha Hendricks, right, 50, and Pastor Johnson. St. Catherine Northwest, Damian Crawford. Well, I mean, Damian Crawford now is in Parliament now, in the lower house. What them have to say? Right, Damian, we want them, you know. Damian didn't want them. See, Damian wanting them came to materialize. Right? Bless up yourself, Damian Crawford. Everybody want him to, you know, this piece of nastiness here. You understand? Also that a corruption mix up in a theme thing, you say, you know. 10,607. Kurt Wall, 8,488. Fitz Jackson from the PNP, right? 9,025. I'm really happy for Fitz Jackson, right? Delroy Domney, 5,970. Olivia Grange, 9,217. Ramai Lewis, 2017. Alfred Dawes, we're glad we have Alfred Dawes in Parliament, right? So Alfred Dawes in the lower house, 100% respect for that. We are happy for that. Right? 7,754. versus 7,187, and JPP 64. Right, St. Catherine Central, Natalie Nita Garvey from the PNP, right, 7,098. Neil Powell, 4,229. Right, you have Christopher Tufton, 6,940. You understand him claim say the way him sound as if him not buy vote, but we know him involved in the buying of votes, you know. Christopher Tufton, we know that you're involved in the buying of votes. All of these things, and you're running out now, try to normalize corruption. Poor you. Laxley Francis from the PNP, 3,718, right? The sort of cheating that you're going with, right, to deny this man. All right, let me just take this call since this caller is called. Yes. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Go ahead, please.
First thing I said, oh, the wife there.
Yeah, man, wife is okay. Oh, Jamron, me on me live now. We can't talk to you now. Me on me live. Sorry about that. Me on me live. Yeah, blessings. All right. So, Christopher Tufton there. Karenisha Morrison, 5,554. Right. Andrew Higgins, 4,598. Right. St. Catherine, Joyce Denise, and so forth. Andrew Wheatley, right? Alanda Terlang, all of these, right, are just the question as it relates to voter suppression. James Robertson, again, you understand, question voter suppression, 9,200, and you know, and I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to go through all of this, right? We are just going to leave it right there where this is concerned. Let us stop share this and take this away and back right in studio. All right. We are not going to comment on that, but let us get into the more serious part of the matter now. Right. Let me just share the next clip. And my Jamaica, once again, welcome to Mystic Sensation. Right. Today we are going to get into some juicy topics. Right. And as we said, where you have Christopher Tufton, Kamina Johnson, Abka Fitz-Henley, right, trying to normalize corruption in Jamaica, right, and you know, try to defend, right, in saying that the general election was fair and square and nothing like that. They know the truth, but again, we say for these persons to be coming out and spinning the lies, right? Trust me, it's just unbelievable. Let us get into sharing some of the clips that we have, right? No, it's just very serious here. All right. Let us. All right. Let us get into the first business of the day that we need to speak on, right? Now, my Jamaican people, we know that the People's National Party is somewhat focusing on the Andrew Holness situation as it relates to the general election. But let us hear
PNP candidate for West Central St. Andrew, Paul Buchanan. The preliminary results bear no resemblance to the history and data of the constituency.
This constituency has 13,400 voters. And never before has the Mullines division recorded the numbers we were seeing in any general election.
Mr. Buchanan is alleging the irregularities were concentrated at the polling stations in areas considered People's National Party strongholds.
At DuPont, in particular, the conflict in terms of the outturn or the outcome and the numbers, the preliminary numbers, could not be supported.
at the Taylor Basic School, the Mall Road cluster, more irregularities, he claims.
Again, there we had significant numbers, so much so that after a visit by Andrew Holness yesterday, voting was ordered stopped inexplicable.
He says his team is also investigating the strange removal of several boxes.
Is that there were some boxes over Seaward Drive or the Seaward School cluster that went to the polling station long after everywhere else in Jamaica, despite the fact that it was about 300 yards away or 300 meters away between Seaward School and the counting center. And when my attorney asked for an explanation, they said that the responsible person was sick. Now, we'll have to go into that as far as the sickness is concerned, or who was the responsible person, whether as a presiding officer. The question will be asked. Again, at Drews Avenue, where another of our strong cluster of boxes, the pickup people took a route which is inexplicable. Instead of going straight from Mullines, coming up Mullines and go straight through to Bay Farm and Waltham to the counting center, they went through a hazardous path, a perilous path, down Olympic, to drop off 2 policewomen. And we have witnesses of all these things. And through a throng of JLP, crowd and all of that, to 3 Mile and then up.
Mr. Buchanan is calling for a thorough investigation, but says he has not officially reported the matter to the EOJ as he's gathering evidence and will do so in a week. Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
All right, let us stop share that and move on to definitely Spinks break down, some of the information coming from Paul Buchanan Spinks. One of the first things that I observed in terms of listening keenly in terms of what Paul Buchanan is saying, here is a constituency, right, and based on history, the amount of numbers that they see at the turnout, right, or at the end result doesn't bear the history of that constituency. And so then that is very important because based on statistics, right, statistical data, right, relating to that particular constituency, that it has never, right, show the outcome of the result that you have seen in terms of voters turnout, right? But yet, Andrew Holness was able, right, to generate the sort of numbers that he had generated. Not only that, right, instances of where after collecting, right, the ballots, right, the diversion from the original route, right, that they're supposed to take, right, there was a diversion there, and the so-called response to that was that they let off 2 female police officers. This particular constituency, as it relates to Andrew Holness' so-called win, is very, very serious and very troubling. And the EOJ has to explain now, right? How could it be that as it relates to statistical data, as it relates to history, why is it that this time, that this particular constituency bear the numbers of voters turnout that we have seen process and to cement Andrew Holness a win? The EOJ has to show. So I want to say, I respect Paul Buchanan to pursue this and the People's National Party to have this right under their radar and focusing on this and make sure that the investigation be meticulously done, dotting all the I's, cross all the T's, right? And when they present it to the EOJ have to give some answers, right, and if they can't give, right, answers to support, right, those figures coming out, then they have to put it into the court. So then we are looking, let me say this, and I want to be careful in terms of what I'm saying. We are looking on a potential flip based on what we are hearing thus far from Paul Buchanan stating all the factors, right, that need to be investigated, right? And so then this is something that we have to look into where that is concerned. What say you, Spinks, on the matter, listening to Buchanan? What is your take on it?
Thank you, Uncle Byron.
Yes.
I'm happy that we're here to highlight these issues, and this platform is here to highlight the issues and inform the nation and inform the world what is happening here locally. Because when you look at the numbers don't lie when it comes to election,
Exactly.
percentages, and so forth. And we who know the math can work it out. Now, when you have the leader of a country that's known for corruption, a country who has lost points on the corruption index since he has become leader of the country, a leader of a country who is under investigation, a leader who is before the court because he took the IC to court, a leader who has 28 bank accounts, went and used brute force, I use another terminology for it, brute force, to close a polling station on the day of election, and that's an illegal act in itself. And when we see that the route that the boxes took after the election is questionable, right? And on top of that, boxes turning up at Seaview at one school, it doesn't add up. And as long as we can provide concrete evidence, I think it is good to make a notation of these things. But it is up to the comrade leader to make the final decision if we challenge this issue in court.
All right. Okay. You finished, Spinks?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Sister Spinks. No, I mean, this is something, Spinks, that you know they have to explain. And we have seen where persons are putting inks on their finger. EOJ again has to explain how these people get that particular ink, right? To be putting on their fingers, right? And you know, I mean, we can't just have this particular government that just, you understand, want to normalize corruption and then have their PR machine to come out and spin their lies, right, through the means of Abka Fitz-Henley, right, Tufton, right, and Kamala Harris. I do believe that. Look, let me say this. Let me say this, Jamaica. When you are voting for people and people are representing the country, us as a country, isn't that it is imperative for you to know the truth, that the government can lead you in a direction, right, that when your government speak, you know that, okay, all right, you can hold the government word for it because the government is credible. Where are we going with this? Let me just ask a question. Where are we going with this? With the lies, the deception? You understand? As a government, your responsibility, I am presuming that your responsibility should be one that makes sure that it builds on credibility. And so then when the government comes out and speak, it speaks in such a way that it is credible. We can't have a government that partially 70% of the population, right, accept that the government, know to the fact that the government is a liar. The government is a deceiver. it is corrosive, it is toxic, it is dangerous. And so then, why we have these people, right? We elect these people, and these people are not going to tell us the truth. At the end of the day, how can we have a country moving forward? We can't continue, right, to go down a very dark path where the country, the government itself is normalizing corruption and criminality. Jamaican people, I'm asking you to please wake up. We can't. Where are we going with this? So then, they are ready to say that, okay, all right, in spite of all the videos that we are seeing on social media, they see it too. They have seen it too. Then why are you coming out? Why are you coming out spinning it? Why do you try to spin something that cannot be spun? It just doesn't make any sense. And we cannot, in agreement, we need to put the politics out of this. We need to put the politics out of this. Your government, trust me, the government that's supposed to shape your future, supposed to build your society in such a way, it is the very same government who is deceiving you. It's deceiving you. It's the very same government is telling you that it's okay for corruption to be done. The very same government is saying that it is okay for nepotism to be done. Then I'm asking myself the question, why is this government fighting crime? Why? Make it make sense. It's ludicrous to me if you have a government that is corrupted, a kleptocratic government, that's willing to lies, willing to steal an election to keep himself away from being prosecuted. And as such, will use taxpayers' money to fund a campaign that built on lies and deception. We just cannot tolerate this, my Jamaican people. And this is now where the churches, the umbrella group of churches, right? I am just asking them to take an introspection in all of this. Because the churches need to come out based on the videos that we are showing, the evidence. I am not saying that the church need to come out right in a very spontaneous way, right? Or just randomly. I am saying that the church can collect these evidence as well. And let us have some rationale about it. Are these evidence that we are showing you, the video of how we have Juliet Holness had voted at her particular PD, but left her PD and went to another PD, creating mayhem at that PD? Are we telling lies? Are we telling lies? So how can you say that, okay, based on what Cafe said, another outside election observers, right? Everything is okay. No, everything is not okay. Because Cafe and those outside observers have not witnessed what you people have been doing as it relates to voter suppression and buying of votes. We have the videos. So then if Cafe, right, want to do some investigation, right, and moving away, just making comments based on what they observe being there. No, Cafe and the outside observers, let me talk to you, right? Do you believe that people are just going to commit, right, the ultimate crime in front of you, right? Just like a police officer then, for example. The policeman is just right in front of you. and you are going to go into the bank and commit robbery. That is not going to be done, Cafe. International observers, that is not going to be done. So what I'm saying to you, you need to get back into the field. You need to talk to people, right? You need to look on some of these videos. You need to see the reality for yourself and speak accordingly to evidence. Because your one-day observation, Cafe, your one-day observation will not be able to tell the truth, the truthful impact, you understand, of voter suppression. You just commenting on that one day will not reflect the truth, and you, Cafe, you know that. The international observers, you people know this. The one-day observation, under no circumstances, is going to compact, right, all the factors that we are talking about here relating to voter suppression, right? Now, let us show you, I say to Jamaican people, that we are going to pay dearly as a result of this general election in terms of how Andrew Holness misuse, right, the money from the treasury. We are going to pay dearly. Now, let me show you some evidence. I'm going to show you something, people. Let me just share this document. I'm going to share some, because the impact starts to be felt already. I said, for my last live, I said, for the next week. No, I was wrong. This seems to be immediate. Let us get into it. Let us get into this, people. I want to show you something. I want to show you something. Let me show you this. Let me show you this here. And you see, for those people who had collected all their so-called general election money to vote out the People's National Party. Remember, you know, I warn you people, you know. The one, you know. All right. Now, let us listen to this.
So I'm giving you a long-winded response. It's not our policy so to do. And if the PNP thinks that it is happening, they should provide the evidence. Otherwise, they should shut up. They should shut up, and I say so as diplomatically as possible, and focus on being an opposition, because democracy requires an opposition in the parliament. And we don't have a problem with that. We are the government, and the government in waiting, they are the opposition. They should go focus on their opposition role, and let us focus on being the government, because that's what the people's wishes have confirmed.
And quite interesting.
Okay, I want to speak on this matter here, because this is so important. This is so important. Christopher Tufton is saying that the People's National Party must go and focus, right, on being an opposition. And we understand that the opposition, right, is there to keep the government as it relates to checks and balances. Something I want to show you. I'm going to, you know, go back to a particular document to show you the evil of Andrew Holness. We all know the responsibility of the opposition to oppose in a constructive way. So we're talking about oppose. We're not talking about that everything that the Jamaican Labour Party doing, that they are just going to oppose, even if it they are doing positive work. No, that is not that sort of opposition we are giving. We are giving constructive opposition. So I want people to understand that. Then, if as according to Christopher Tufton, that okay, you are okay in terms of having an opposition, then Christopher Tufton, let me ask you, why did Jamaican Labour Party administration take away the oversight responsibility from the People's National Party? My Jamaican people want to stay with me and listen to my reasoning. We just heard Christopher Tufton. That's why I take that portion and I want to dissect that particular portion. As a Christopher Tufton, it is okay for the People's National Party to oppose, and it's okay to have an opposition. Right? Let us say that. So we know the responsibility of the opposition. And what is the opposition responsibility is to oppose in a constructive way in the benefit of the Jamaican people. We have seen when Andrew Holness was in opposition, he opposed, and even when Portia Simpson was doing the most positive in taking out billions out of the NHT to shore up the budget, Andrew Holness opposed that. Come on, people, we are reasoning now. Andrew Holness opposed that and it partially landed in court. Okay, flip the kind around now. What Andrew Holness is doing, worse than what PJ Patterson, worse than what Portia Simpson had done. Andrew Holness, right, has been using the NHT on a yearly basis, taking out more than $11 billion per year. Is the corruption that I'm showing you, you know? Remember, Andrew Holness, when he was in opposition, you know, opposed Portia Simpson, you know, and land Portia Simpson in court for that, you know. And here is Andrew Holness now taking over $11 billion yearly from the NHT, worse than what Portia Simpson had done. Who is taking Andrew Holness into court for that? Let me ask the question. Who is taking Andrew Holness in court for that? Look at what Andrew Holness also had done. Take away the oversight responsibility, right, from the People's National Party when they have their 14 members. Let us go back over the document and show Jamaican public. Right? We can't accept this, people. We can't accept this. This is ridiculous. What is happening to our country? We can't. Let us look on this. Let us show Jamaican people what is happening here. Here it is, Andrew Holness. I am getting back to this document because here is Christopher Tufton now came out. Why we have to draw back for this document? People want to realize what is going on. You know. Here it is, editorial reset house committees. This means that Andrew Holness need to hand over back those committees to the opposition. This is how Andrew Holness blind them. Now look on it, people. Right? When the new parliament convenes soon, in the aftermath of this week's general election, this newspaper looks forward to Prime Minister Andrew Holness moving quickly to repair an error of his last administration. This is not an error of his last administration. This is a wrong. This is a moral wrong. This is a moral and ethical wrong of his last administration. Now look, he must return the chairmanship of parliamentary committees to opposition members of the House and instruct his Jamaica Labour Party, right, legislators to robustly participate in rather than frustrate the work of the committees. Such a move will be a good for Parliament's oversight of the executive and contribute to lifting the quality of governance. This is what I'm talking about, my Jamaican people, the quality of governance that you are getting from Andrew Holness. Right? It is toxic. Andrew Holness doesn't want any transparency. He doesn't want any checks and balance on his behavior. He must be left unchecked. And so then while you have Christopher Tufton coming out and talk about it is okay to have the opposition, they are not telling the truth in terms of what they are doing to the opposition and what they have done to the opposition in blinding the opposition and want to muzzle the opposition as how they muzzled the Integrity Commission investigators. And so then this is telling me that they are criminals. They are criminals. Andrew Holness is ruling over a criminal government. Let us read on. Especially on context of Prime Minister Holness. You hear what it is saying, people? Want to understand, you know, especially in the context of Prime Minister Owners, knowing to the fact the heap rumor, the heap things was around him, the dark clouds were over him head. This is what this is saying, you know, especially in the context of the Prime Minister Owners, Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, winning a third consecutive term in government, and the Prime Minister warning to the team to avoid arrogance. When you look for Andrew Wallace and ask the team, you understand, to avoid arrogance. You are the most arrogant person there is, and criminal with it, which is a real danger of power and the longevity thereof. So the paper is warning you, the Gleaner is warning you. Currently, hear what happened. Hear the changes that he made currently. It is the standing orders parliamentary rule book legislates the chairmanship of the 13 standing committees. The standing order committee and the committee of privileges, which are to be headed, right, the speaker and the house committee, which deals with physical conveniences and comforts of the legislature, which is chaired by the leader of the house. However, it is a long-standing convention, right? Let us go back now to the long-standing practices. However, it is a long-standing convention that the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, and the Public Administration and Appropriation Committee are chaired by opposition members. The PAC, which reviews reports by the Auditor General as well as financial statement by public bodies, while the PAC responsibility is the real-time oversight of expenditures. So they may want the opposition to know how the expenditure, right, going, government expenditures. They want to blindfold them. And let us go back in terms of we lack understanding of how Darrell Valls come to now have $1.4 billion, right? And as I turn to him, go and buy old school bus. Right now, only 60 of them coming at the island. So I want to know how $1.4 billion approved. And then you only 60 at bus you get. And you want to cement it, right? To say that, okay, all right, you wanted a rural school bus system to help out the children to deal effectively with absenteeism. No, that wasn't the case. You use this under disguise. The 1.4 billion that you have gotten, right, seems to have directed, right, into the political campaign and buying of votes. And so then, okay, my Jamaican people, let me ask you a question. Is it okay for Darrell Valls to just get away with all of this and not showing us any purchase order and any invoice? Is it okay that we operate the government like this? May I ask all of the labor right them, you know? And may I ask the mainstream media? Is it okay that we just acted willy-nilly without checks and balance as it relates to taxpayers' money? Anybody can just go in there and dip and come out and we don't know it got. No, this is madness, my people. This is sitting here madness. Right? It can't go like that. Now let me just bring in Sister Spinks. Right? Spinks. Based on what you have seen there with these committees being taken away from the party, blinding them, right, of checks and balance. What say you on the matter, sister?
Well, Uncle Byron, thanks for having me here, and I'll respond by saying, when they had the two-thirds majority of parliament, they could do anything they want to do. They had 5 years to steal and rob us blind, while the PNP did not have the power to object in any way or any form. But today, going forward after this election, that has changed. And that is what we should look on as PNP.
Yes.
This is what we should look on to know that we are 28 strong right now, and they have to return the site to us by returning the oversight committee to us so we can do our checks and balances, because that is why they had to wait until just before election to remove that $1.4 billion. I said it, I
Yes.
said it more than one time. 22 million was spent on each constituency to buy votes. Multiply 22 million by 63, you get it falls right within the bracket of the $1.4 billion for the school bus system, the rural school bus system. And until this day, we cannot get a receipt. We have no proof of purchase. And Radigan has shown us that he can buy these buses for $1 each, right? Or you can get them for free because they are basically scrap metal in America. And when you think of this, going forward as a nation, my comrades, do not lose hope. Never lose hope and faith, because we have 28 honest members of parliament in Gordon House today. And going forward, these 28 will be our buttress against corruption. Just like how a dam stops a river, or halts the flow of a river, or controls the flow of a river, our 28 candidates will be doing that. They will be like a dam standing up there in the river of corruption against Andrew Holness. And going forward, we should never lose hope in our comrade leader or any of our 28 candidates. I'm happy, and I'm still happy to be a comrade. And I celebrate every day that I stand as a woman who was raised in a family where women of virtue, of value, of high morals, and good citizens, civil servants, and to know I can stand today in my generation saying that I am proud to be a member of the PNP. I am proud to be a supporter of Mark Golding as comrade leader of our party, because I love this man every day for standing up for integrity. And the only person who hates Mark Golding would be someone who does not like integrity. Right along the campaign, he has he has shown us he stands for high morals. He's taking the high ground. He stands for honesty. And we won every seat that we won through honesty, despite the battles of dishonesty that were thrown against us, these hurdles that were thrown in front of us. All of our 63 candidates battled it out that day. And I'm proud of our 63 soldiers who stood strong. And we got 28 through the gate. And I'm happy that we are stronger as a unit, because, my comrades, I will say this to you: do not be daunted. Once the oversight committee is returned to us, and we must have it returned to us to have us check and balance every dollar that is being spent. Remember, my comrades, brothers and sisters, and my Jamaicans who are listening to me, for 10 years straight, the Ministry of Health has not made a report to the House of Parliament for 10 years straight, and it's required by law for a yearly report to be made. the Parliament by every ministry of the by the permanent secretary to tell us how they spend our money for that year. We have lost one permanent secretary already from the Ministry of Health, and yet Christopher Tufton is coming out here and telling us to shut up. He is facing, and he had the audacity to say that to us when last week, just last week, let me remind Christopher Tufton of this. Spanish Town Hospital, no porters, no janitors, no sanitation workers. The company JACDEN was there, and they're not being paid, and they were asked to leave. And they asked another company, Manpower, to step in. Manpower came in one day and did not return the other day. So the staff there are trying to see what they can do to assist the patients that are there. And just last week again, the pharmacy intern at the Western Regional Health Authority, including the parish of St. James, went to work for one single day and were told not to return because there is no money to pay them. Yet he stands and he brags about how much money he spent in the Ministry of Health. Tufton, you have no talk. And while you're there talking about health, let me ask you, Tufton, please ask your leprechaun friend to make sure we have water in our pipe going forward. Because nothing is wrong with the pipe coming to my house. I want water in my pipe. Ask your leprechaun friend who's in charge of the water to open the pipe. And I yield the floor to you, Uncle Byron.
All right, thank you for that, Sister Jamaica. Right, and you have spoken, highlighting some of the serious situations that waving ahead, right, in terms of what those workers are facing in healthcare sector. Right, however, now Christopher Tufton running out, you understand, doing spinning as usual. Spinning, the spinning is not going to work, Christopher Tufton. People are suffering. People are suffering under your lives. And this is very serious, This is very serious. Now, Jamaica, let me show you something. Here is where Andrew Wallace, Jamaica, let me say this to you. I am going to show you something that Jamaica will be facing some serious situation within the next 2 years. And I have the evidence here to show you. A very serious situation hanging over Jamaicans' head. Particularly, see the amount of money that used up in this general election to buy votes and all of that. We're going to pay. Remember, I said it in the last live, But I'm going to show you something. I did say within the next weeks or month, it seems like it is happening immediately, people. And I'm going to show you where you have a particular company now is complaining. Now, let me show you something, people. Let me show you. And we are going to get into some serious things. Jamaican people, now the IMF. Hold on. Let me talk to you before I present these documents. Let me give you the background. The IMF is now forcing the Jamaican authority to now devalue the Jamaican dollars to $200. Jamaica, I don't know what that means. And you know why that happened? Because them cooking the books, saying that poverty is down, telling that inflation is this, and all of that. And so then now the IMF, the BOJ, people, let me show them, the BOJ spending millions of dollars to save the Jamaican dollar from sliding. Mighty God and Andrew Wallace and administration. How Jamaicans are going to manage when the US down to $200? What are the people? Hold on there. Let me just chuckle down and show you something while go on. Let me show you something while go on. When we get into that, let me just chuckle down. Now show you 2 more clips. And then we get into terms of what the IMF is encouraging Jamaica to do to make the dollar slide. So how Jamaican people go and manage? You tell me, I talk to them. I say it to them. That Andrew Wallace keep on telling lies and lies and discutting, keep on telling lies. Have to pay the consequence. Jamaican people are going to suffer some more. Well, you know what? Let me just ease my temper, right? And get into the presentation. But when I run out and come say I lie this, you know. When look people, let me break down the first part of the pasa yes. Now, V-mill to elevate private equity transaction in on for better returns. I'm going to tell you what they are saying about the market. Me, I'm going to tell you what they must say about the market. See that? I'm put up the date. Friday, September 12, 2025, at today, at this morning. I'm going to put up the date. Okay. Me I tell you, say, Jamaica Labour Party, mighty God, VM Investment Limited, VMIL, is reorienting its focus towards more private equity transaction and less on corporate debt to drive better returns for the company. I'm sure what they're going to do with this company. It comes amid challenging market conditions. What comes amid? Challenging market conditions, a sluggish stock market, and lingering concerns about bond defaults that push the company into the red in the June quarter. VMIL CEO Resworth Burchanson says the company sees growth potential in the private equity space and will be pursuing its new strategy along 2 fronts, namely through direct investment by the company and indirectly through partnerships such as JASMEF. He said at VMIL's quarterly investor briefing on Tuesday that the company will be pursuing deals across the Caribbean. If more capital is provided with the requisite support, we will see a lot more interest in development in the Caribbean, Burchanson said. In June 2025 quarter, the company spun, people no look on it. In the June 2025 quarter, the company spun from profit of 23 million to a loss of 6.7 million. Now, Andrew only say everything is on the up and up. Everything is on the up and up. And him say it, you know, right? Current market conditions remain challenging for generating outsized returns, the company reported to shareholders in its earnings report. You know what? Let me stop share this and go to some critical document to show you Wagwan, yeah, people. Let me show you Wagwan. You understand? Let me show you Wagwan. Media have to bust them bubble, you know. You think I ramping them? Think me ramping them? Eh? All right. You think you know why continue to fool my Jamaican people and me not defend them? You not go lie to them, you know. You not go lie to them and me not defend them, you know. No, remember, you know. Furniture boss one, you know. Furniture boss did one, you know. So let me show you, let me remind the people that what furniture boss said, and then we move on. Furniture boss one, you know.
Comment on is that right now, as it stands in the Jamaican economy, the economy is struggling. It's probably the worst I've seen in the 30-odd years I've been in business. The buying power is the weakest, and government needs to find ways to, how do I say it now, catalyze the economy to be able to grow. We tried our best a few years ago, and Jamaica started to see growth. But right now, they've done so many things to stagnate the industry. Interest rates need to come down quickly. The Bank of Jamaica needs to come out of their tunnel vision and start thinking out of the box to manage the economy, because right now it's in a very stagnant stage and actually in a dying stage. And it is actually quite frightening what is happening out there. When you speak to business people, people are saying they're seeing anyway in a 50% down in terms of sales, their retail trade, and every expense is going up. Their rental rates that they're paying to rent these shops and stores is going up. Their light bill consistently is up. You know, it's a tough world out there, yes, but we can do things to make it a little easier for our people in this country. So the minister and the government has a lot to do, and the Bank of Jamaica and our commercial banks, to try and stimulate this economy, because if they don't start doing something now, the economy is going to start fumbling and they're going to be in big trouble.
I want you to expand on that a little bit more from me, Mr. Azan, because it's good to hear your views on that, because the data is suggesting, and we hear the government talk a lot about economic growth and inclusiveness. It talks about business confidence is at an all-time high. We know of unemployment rate, the best that it has been. Is it that the manufacturers are not seeing all of that? What exactly is happening? Why is there a dissonance between the two?
There are one or two businesses that may be seeing some growth, but I tell you, the general economy is struggling out there. The real estate side of things, the building, the construction side of things is slowing. Interest rates has played a major part in doing that. And the business side, the manufacturing side is struggling. And we need to find ways to stimulate back this economy, because what we've done over the years and tried to build it back, coming from where we're coming from, I think what we've done in terms of managing this inflationary issue, I think we've gone about it possibly in a little different way that we could do something, but it is creating a havoc in the economy right now. Buying power is the weakest that I have seen in all my years of doing business. I'm not just speaking from my own business, but generally because I sit on other boards, it is very weak. And it is actually a little frightening for me when I am looking out there and seeing what's happening in the economy out there. So we need to find ways of trying to find ways. The Bank of Jamaica needs to come out. Commercial banks need to start doing things to stimulate stuff, because you're going to find ourselves in a real pickle if we don't do something quickly.
We know the issue of the interest rates and the adjustment by the bank, the central bank, but not the commercial banks, has been an issue for a lot of different players in the market, Mr. Thwaites. Outside of that, you may probably make a comment on that as well from the association standpoint. And also, could you tell me what are some of the incentives that you see as necessary, the association see as necessary to assist the sector right now as it pertains to economic activity?
Yeah, sure. And Omar is echoing a sentiment that we've been in a 2-year environment of high interest rate and lending is tight. So these are the policies that slow down an economy. We've seen interest rates drop a couple of times, but we're not seeing the transmission of those rates at BOJ drops to the commercial banks, and that's a problem. We're half a year in off of our initial drop in interest rates, haven't seen that transmission to the market. That is a key issue in how you
share this my Jamaican people. So I am showing you in Jamaican people, right, that some serious situation ahead. So all what Azan was saying, and remember, Azan did not only speak of that today, the clip that I just played with Omar Azan. Azan had spoken on that months ago, people. The clip I play is not today clip with Azan, Azan had spoken that months ago. But I refer back to that clip in terms of the clip that I am going to present now, to show you that things is getting worse, and the IMF is saying to Jamaica to let the dollar fly. me look at people. Come here. People, watch this. Hey, Jamaica has some serious shit. That's all I have to say. Right? You make me put it up so you can hear it, For yourself,
IMF recommendation pushed the Jamaican dollar to 200 to 1 US. I'm Kalila Reynolds, founder and CEO of Money Media, Money Made Simple. So the IMF was full of praise for Jamaica in its latest country report. The country's done a good job rebounding from Hurricane Beryl and Tropical Storm Raphael. Inflation is within target. Lots of good stuff, right? But then they said there's still room to deepen our FX market. According to the IMF, the Bank of Jamaica can do this by scaling back on its foreign exchange interventions. What does this mean and how would it affect us? Well, the BOJ tends to intervene in the Forex market whenever the Jamaican dollar starts sliding too much. They do this by releasing or selling more US dollars from the reserves. This ensures that banks have more than enough USD to meet the demand, which in turn brings the price of USD down. The BOJ has intervened in the market 17 times since the start of this year.
Year to date, the BOJ has actually sold about 440 million US dollars into the market, which is just about 6.7% of the total trading volumes. The truth is that the Bank of Jamaica and any central bank is actually comfortable with movement in the currency. The issue arises when it becomes a little bit of a wild movement. I think the BOJ would be comfortable once there's orderly movement in either direction.
That was senior trader at JMMB, Andre Reed, speaking on taking stock in June. And despite the BOJ throwing more USD out there, the JMD still crossed the 160 to 1 US dollar mark recently. So imagine where it would be without those interventions. 170, 180, dare I say 200 to 1? Now, the IMF did acknowledge that the BOJ's interventions have helped stabilize inflation and the foreign exchange market, but they said that more heavy intervention could stunt the development of a deeper, more efficient foreign exchange market. Remember that discussion we had a few months ago with Marla Dukaran about Trinidad's foreign exchange issues. She also believes that Trinidad should just let the market move rather than try to control the exchange rate. But what do you think? Should officials continue to intervene in the market to keep the exchange rate stable, or should they take the IMF's recommendation and let her fly? Let me know in the comments. And that's the bottom line. If you're
All right. Let us stop share this, right? And then let us speak on this matter now, my people. Now, common sense. Let us get into the economics. Now, BOJ cannot be continuing to spend billions of dollars, right, to save the Jamaican dollar from sliding. Here's the root of the problem. I want people to listen to me. And I know that Andre Hartney is one of the best economics out there, right? Ralston Ayman is out there as well. When we look at our trade deficit, and that's why Andrew Onis is wrecking this economy. Andrew Onis is wrecking this economy. Let me explain something. If you look at our trading, as it relates to importation and exportation, we are importing per year, annually, over $7 billion. Looking at people. That is what we are importing. What are we exporting? We are exporting $1 billion. Let us break it down as it relates to simple mathematics. What is our trading deficit? You see, we left with a trading deficit of $5 billion. So then, that is not giving the room for fiscal space in terms of really paying down our debt. We are not paying down our debt, having a deficit of $5 billion. What we are doing, we are paying interest on the debt, while the debt is growing. When Portia Simpson handed over, the debt was $2.1 trillion. Ask yourself the question, Jamaica. What is the debt at current? The debt at current is roughly about $2.4 trillion. So then, we are not paying down the debt. We are just paying the interest on the debt. Now, how can we get out of this, what I call economic abyss that Jamaica is traveling down? We have to grow the economy. Ask yourself the question, how can we grow the economy? Now, we are operating what we call a service industry. All of the hotels and so forth and so forth. But all the service industry, as it relates to the money that they are generating, how much of that really circulate in the economy? A very minute. More than 85% of the generated profit from tourism is circulating out of the country, not within the country. And we have a problem with that. Now, if we are to try to push towards manufacturing, which of course we need to push towards manufacturing, we have to now look on energy. Ask ourselves the question, why Jamaica currently is not in a position to boost the economy the way the economy ought to be boosted. Simply, the high cost of energy. This is why now the energy situation is now fundamental. Remember, I'm not an economics, a common sense. Me are using this. So me not come to tell nobody say I am an economist. Me only they utilize common sense. Now, if we have high energy costs, and business is going to operate it as it relates to their overhead costs, including electricity, and paying salaries and those expenses, right? They're hardly going to operate in terms of making a profit. So then we have a problem. Where is our problem? High cost of energy. The high cost of energy. Let us go back to what Andrew Holness had promised in 2015. Andrew Holness said, the problem that Jamaicans are facing is the high cost of energy. What did Andrew Holness promise? Andrew Holness promised that if he is being elected, he will bring in the big electricity companies to provide competition to now pull down the cost of energy. Andrew Holness lied, because Andrew Holness know that JPS have a monopoly. People need to understand the situation and the semantics of Andrew Holness politics. Lied. Outright lied. What Andrew Holness did? Andrew Holness, when he won, right? Andrew Holness do what? Remove the protection limit that the People's National Party put at 350 kilowatt hours per usage. That means for the ordinary householders, if they have not used above 350 kilowatt per hour, right, then they will not pay, right, those GCTs and so forth, and those taxes on it, because they have not used that. That was a threshold protection. What did Andrew Holness did? Andrew Holness, who promised that he will provide cheaper energy costs to the consumers. What did Andrew Holness did? Andrew Holness removed the protection from 350 to 150. You know what that means? What Andrew Holness just did is to broaden the tax net. Then you ask yourself the question, how can this man promise that when he gets into power, he is going to make it better for us and the consumers will pay less? But yet when he gets into power, what he had done? He had sided with the elites, sided with the crony capitalists, and said, look here, you know how the campaign thing go, you know how the politics go. What may I tell them for the campaign? You know, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell them for the campaign that now to get them vote. So you what me I go do now? Me know that we have 20% in our electricity. The government have 20 or 19%. So you what me I do now? Me know they go reduce, right, the threshold limit. You understand? And broaden the tax net. You understand? So the government can make more money and Uno can make more money. Uno see him wicked. Uno see how him wicked. Goes back to what I'm saying. How important education is. The masses, you understand, being educated, Andrew Holness couldn't run around them like that. Because, of course, he would have to know, they would put his feet down to the fire and ask him to explain that. No one until now asked Andrew Holness to explain that. Why did you promise that you are going to make, right, the energy to consumers, right, cheaper? However, you have done the contrary. You have done the contrary. Now, you have seen the man, you understand, the mastermind of the scammer, the trickster, how he had played upon the mind of the people, taking advantage as a result of the people's ignorance. That is what Andrew Holness is doing, taking advantage of Jamaicans who are not that educated. And this is Andrew Holness' core base. And what he had done as much to preserve his core base. And when election time come, he used money, you understand, to shore up his base, getting other people by allowing other people to sell out themselves. This is what Andrew Holness done in this general election. Now listen, look what we faced with now. Because of Andrew Holness, you understand, lie. Talking about, you understand, poverty shift from 18 to 9%, and make it seem, I don't know if they took the books, so that the IMF is now saying, now, let's look at it now, you know. The Bank of Jamaica, as a result of the falling economy, people, I want you to understand the information that I share. As a result of how the economy is collapsing so fast, BOJ is taking out millions to shore up, to try to save the dollar from slide. Because why is BOJ making that attempt? Ask the question. Mr. Sensation will answer. And since I asked it in a rhetorical way, you know I am going to answer. So then, why is BOJ, right, been spending all of that money, you understand, to save the dollar from slide? Because, let me explain now. The more the dollar slide, it affects cost of living as it relates to inflation lifted up. So inflation rise on the people, which affects cost of living. And so then now, people now, you are going to feel it at the cash register. This is what I'm saying. You are going to feel it at the cash register. You are going to feel it at the pump. You are going to feel it at healthcare. You are going to feel it everywhere. So then, the Jamaican Labour Party, to the fact that they involved in all the corruption that they involve, they come with these lies to tell you they want to win the election because they want to save their assets from the investigation that is pending. Jamaican Labour Party doesn't have any plan for Jamaica, no future plan. to get us out of this economic dish. That's why I show you how the dollar is sliding and what the IMF is now telling them to do, which is going to be an impact on taxpayers. So taxpayers now will be paying more in their taxes, have to pay more at the pump, more at the cash register. And guess what? Here it is now. We are in a predicament that the $17,000, right, minimum wage start to really look like 1 cent and 2 cents when you go into the supermarket. You can hardly buy anything. And then hear him now with him trickery, because he realized that a lot of the people are not really educated. Hear him now, and here, this is what he's selling. We are the only administration that give you the highest minimum wage. And so then a Jamaican who is not educated will look at it from a simple perspective to say, you know what, true? Because in a Portia Simpson time, we were only getting 6,000 for minimum wage. And so then in Andrew Honest time, we are getting 17,000. Yeah, man, Andrew Honest love me more, man. Because they raised it up. Because in a Portia Simpson time, it wasn't 17,000. No, Andrew Honest can raise it up to 17,000. This is the way Andrew Honest wants you to think. What Andrew Honest don't want you to think, and as such, GLP depend on persons who are ignorant, uneducated, to tell them those lies. But an educated person is going to say, no. When Portia Simpson in 2012 to 2016, where the minimum wage was $6,000, inflation was lower, which means that by then the purchasing power was greater than now. Andrew Wallace doesn't want you to think that. Because now an educated person is going to say, okay, Andrew Wallace, you are paying $17,000 for minimum wage now. But look what the 17,000, let us go to purchasing power as it relates to dollar for dollar comparable that you are using between then and now, which it is false, it is deceptive. It is criminal for you to be doing that. Come on. What you need to talk to the people about is that in your time, the $17,000 weak under the purchasing power because you are meeting high inflation. And so then, what the $6,000 could have purchased during 2012 to 2016, it cannot purchase that amount of items, although I gave you $17,000 minimum wage. Andrew Wallace don't want you to have a conversation like that. And so then when they sell their political narrative, sell their political rhetoric, sell their red meat to their base, because their base is really ignorant, their base absorb it. And they look on it from a dollar to dollar perspective, which is not the way they should have been looking on it. They should look at it as it relates to purchasing power and inflation. And so then if you back up, if Andrew Wallace come on my platform and I'm asking him about purchasing power and inflation, he wouldn't stay a minute. He wouldn't survive a minute as it relates to my questions. Couldn't. Because he knows very well that I am going to educate the Jamaican people. You don't have to be an economist to figure it out. And so then you have to understand the semantics that Andrew Wallace is playing. And so then, of course, I think I speak too much. Spinks want to say something. Let me bring Spinks in this as well. Sister Spinks, come in.
Yes, Uncle Byron. You know, my parents raised me to be polite, so I always wait my turn.
All right.
I'm not to interrupt you. Anyway, when you look at the dollar today, it's 1.6, right? The
Yes.
exchange rate. And to have a 200 is recommended now by the IMF. It shows that something is really going on and it's proving what we have been saying all along. It's been confirming what we've been saying for months now or for years now, that Andrew is just basically paying off the interest rate. Even when Nigel was there, they have just been paying off the interest rate and not paying the debt, not paying to the debt itself. And it has left us in a pothole, financial pothole, and we have to dig our way out of that financial pothole. And um, it so happens that the current leader of the PNP is a banker. He does corporate law, and he does and he has this background in finance that I am sure that even when he becomes prime minister of this country and he has a minister of finance in people like Comrade Julian Robinson, that he himself have enough knowledge and information to change our future. Because right now, according to what Andrew is doing, he's turning us into financial slaves to the IMF and to other
Exactly, Sphinx.
international lending agencies.
Say that again,
Because
Sphinx. Sphinx, say that again. Sphinx. Repeat what you just said.
Andrew, Andrew is turning us into financial slaves to IMF and to other lending agents, international lending agencies. That's all Andrew is doing. Andrew does not pay back money. It's a typical thing of his mentor. Seaga did not pay back Crawford this money to Central National Bank and the bank collapsed. You see, it's their constant MO right through. GLP do not pay back money. They don't pay back the loans that they borrow from IMF. Every time they borrow money, it takes the PNP to come back and pay back these loans. When you look at even them taking out personal loans, look at Dwayne Smith, the son of the son of the other one there, his father, or a private citizen, $20 million, $20 million, and you're going up into election owing a private citizen of the country, $20 million. Yes, it's a private conversation between them, but the fact that it goes to show that do not pay bills. You understand what I'm saying to you? So when you look at Omar's statement, Omar Azan's statement, we know that statement was made months ago, and he was warning us again because he was the only one from the tea association who stepped out boldly and warned us what was happening. You see, a lot of brick and mortar businesses now have been shuttered, and at no time, even during COVID time, when people were closing their business and they're shutting down their business and their storefront and turn take it online to survive through the COVID period. At no time did our government step out then and say, the property owners, could you please lessen your rental fees to let these people have an ease? No. Did he say to JPS, give the people a break? No, he did not. Did you say to business owners, um, I'm going to ask National Water Commission to give you a break or something like that, to ease you through this? Nothing. We are required. I remember when COVID just started in Jamaica here, one of the heart wrenching things I saw in Montego Bay when people had back to school in September, record trucks driving through Montego Bay, partially crowded Montego Bay, picking up vehicles, back to school time, picking up vehicles just after election. Remember, we had election 2020, September, and then just about a few weeks after this man was elected, he had record trucks coming out. And this is what they do every time, right? This is what they do every time. Before election, the police are not out there in their numbers, harassing people, motorists on the road. They give us a break. And then after election, they start clamping down on everyone again. Between nomination and election day, we have water, full force in our pipe. After then, they put out a notice. How they keep treating us. And I keep hearing Vatican saying something over and over again. People treat you the way you allow them to treat you. And we on this platform is saying no. We, the PNP, is saying no. We as comrades are saying no to the GLP by saying we don't like the way you treat us. Our human rights have been violated time and time again. And we want you to stop. Stop insulting our intelligence by telling us, oh, this and that and everything is pretty and everything is fine when we know it is not fine on the ground. No, when you look at how this GLP controls money and runs this country through and through into this financial pothole, deeper and deeper, digging us deeper and deeper. And what they keep doing is robbing from people to pay Paul. Because why is it pharmacy insurance are not being paid? Why teachers can't collect the salary for 2 months? Why nurses can't collect the salary for 2 months? And this is what people should be asking. If the economy is doing so well, why civil servants are not being paid? It's
Exactly.
simple.
Because
Yet they have
the economy is not doing well.
Yet they have $22 million being spent on every constituency. So therefore, they're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. I heard Melting Pot said it on the platform before, and I'll repeat what Melting Pot said. What they have done is not pay the civil servants, but use that money to and pay the people they want to vote for them. That is what happened. That 1.4 billion that was supposed to pay the civil servants, that is what the money was for. And that money they supposedly pay for the buses is what they use to run this campaign and buy votes and do all the shenanigans in all 63 constituencies. Jamaicans, just follow the money. Just look at who is not being paid and look who can stash money. I have seen so many. Last night on Titans, we saw one woman stashing the money that she got paid for her vote. And we see instances of this happening across the island. Where that money comes from, that money was to pay a teacher. That money was to pay a fireman. That money was to pay a police officer for his overtime. That money was to pay a nurse. That money was to pay a pharmacy intern. That money was to pay the company that was to come to Spanish Town Hospital to clean the floor. That money was to pay the porters, janitors, and sanitizing team of people. So those persons did not get paid. So you who in your green clothes are you the Jamaican citizen who bragging about how much money you collect for this election? Let me tell you that that teacher that is supposed to teach your child tomorrow or next week did not get paid because you wanted to have money in your pocket for selling your vote. That nurse did not turn up for work because she's overworked and not being paid. Remember, you took that money, you took her salary, you deprived her of her salary. had taken that money to sell your when you sold your vote. And I give the floor Uncle Brian.
All right. Okay, thanks for that, Sister Spinks. All right. Let us get into some serious situations in terms of investigation that I am looking at, and I am tracking certain things as it relates to particularly the issue with Paul Buchanan and Andrew Ones. Jamaica, I am doing some investigation because at one period of time we have some disruption, right? And based on those disruptions, I am looking on some issues. I want to show you what I am looking at. Now watch this, people, where we are going here. Let me share the screen with you in terms of the investigation that I'm doing. Right? Let me just get into this, share this document, and I'm going to share some interesting stuff, right? Where I'm going as it relates to this investigation. Now listen to this, my Jamaican people.
No, come here. Ron, come here. I want to ask a question. Who have eyes, let them see. Who have ears, let them hear. Who have understanding, who have knowledge, let them understand. The last time I checked, you have 2 telecommunication in Jamaica. You have Flow and you have Digicel. How can 2 telecommunication fail all at once, moments before they count the few boxes in Andrew Holness's constituency? How can you have 2 telecommunication company that fail us all at once? The last time I recall, Digicel and Flow don't work under the same company. You give all of us signal. The last time I checked, Digicel and Flow now operate from the same tower. So somebody come explain to me, moments before the government of Jamaica, before they count the ballot, before they finish count the rest of ballots that were left, moments before all communication fail. You can't send out no call, you can't put on a data plan, you cannot access the internet, you cannot do nothing. Whether Digicel or Flow, none of them working. Moments before. So, no one understand. Congrats, Labour right on them winning, but something not right here. Stick a pin. Stick multiple pins. Never in my life I've ever seen. Come to the nice man. Never in my life me ever see. Election. 2 main telecommunication crash. No Jamaican could be access to the internet to see which side was leading, which side win. In the morning when they chipping back everything, then tell us the Labour right win. Somebody come tell me something. Me I miss something. Me I miss something dear, so man. The other shocking thing is Val's lose, Anne-Marie lose her seat. But me could not even touch upon that subject. That subject there for one another time. But this I mean I understand. Where in the world where you see election is occurring and all communication fail, telecommunication that you use. In America, you have multiple. You have AT&T, you have this, you have that. So in Jamaica, you have 2 main ones and both of them fail all at once. You cannot see an update on what is going on. Listen to me, man. If we not see corruption in this, man, nobody not tell me nothing.
All right, my sister. Now, you are making some strong points, some solid points. Let me stop from share this. And so then Mystic Sensation, as usual, yeah, I have some concern about that as well. And so I start to do some deep dive, people. Some deep dive. Because if you notice, my people, on the election day, what a lot of people don't observe, NNN merged with a particular company. And that's the company I'm investigating. On September 3rd, NNN merged with a particular company. People, look at this. Look at this, people. Let me get to the Amber Group. When we call them name, they're going to shiver. Now, let us read this, my Jamaican people. Something I'm breaking to you in a Jamaican people. So we dig down into the history. Because we're not fool. We want to know what really transpired. Amber Group takes over Sportsmart Studio from Digicel to launch AI-driven Revo TV, August 29, 2025. Amber Group founder and CEO, Dushyant Savadia. And of course, I do some deep dive in him. I'm going to show you something, people. Kingston, Jamaica. The Amber Group has taken over the operations of Sportsmart Studio from Digicel to launch Revo TV 24/7 AI, a digital television channel delivering what it describes as non-stop world-class coverage of news, business, sports, and entertainment. Revo TV is scheduled to officially go live on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, with live coverage of Jamaica's 19th general election, led by Emmy Award-winning broadcaster Cliff Hughes and his team. Let me read back that over him. Because we have to take this thing very seriously now. Kingston, Jamaica, the Amber Group has taken over the operations of Sportsmart Studio from Digicel to launch Revo TV 24/7 AI, a digital television channel delivering what it describes as non-stop world-class coverage of news, business, sports, and entertainment. Revo TV is scheduled to officially go live on Wednesday, September 3, the date of election, 2025, with live coverage of Jamaica's 19th general election, led by Emmy Award-winning broadcaster Cliff Hughes and his team. Through a strategic content sharing partnership with Nationwide 90 FM, Revo TV, and Revo News, AI will bring depth and credibility to its programming, while also seeking content partnership with other media houses across the region, creating a collaborative Caribbean-wide digital broadcast ecosystem. So then, we say no. We have to go a little bit further than this. You understand why September 3rd? And yet you merge with NNN based on what you are getting there. Right? So let me just remove this. And let us get into what I'm investigating. Yeah. Let us get in what I'm investigating. So music sensation with my fastness decide to do a little bit some serious research of who this man is. Now, let us share this. Let us share this, my people. This is the man that we're talking about. Pitched maverick of technology, Dushyant Savadia. Dushyant Savadia, maverick of technology. I have some questions to ask. That's why I say I play the first clip with the young lady concerned. Right? Why these companies during that period of time have such a disruption. This man that you are seeing here is a maverick of technology. As someone that also monitor up driver security, you understand the capacity of infiltrating systems. This man has the capacity to do it. Let us get into what we have here. Tech innovators are often dreaming up ways to make society better, according to him. Hold on. Let's get into this little reading. Dreaming up ways to make society better. Dushyant Savadi, founder and CEO of global technology conglomerate Amber Group, is committed to these philanthropic ambitions. His vision for his work in Jamaica is to improve the quality of people's lives, as according to him. The Shanti road to becoming a Jamaican technology disruptor. Jamaica, me just want to ask a question. I just want to ask a question. Let me read it over. The Shanti road to becoming a Jamaican technology disruptor is a unique story. It began with his arrival in Jamaica in 2012 as a part of humanitarian envoy of the Art of Living Foundation, a non-profit organization committed to transforming lives through mediation and stress management. That is what he claimed to been doing for 3 years. Didnt taught workshops to everyone from farmers to corporate teams and inmates in prison. In 2015, when the funding of the foundation started to dwindle, Amber Group was born to sustain its charitable enterprise. We are getting into Dushyant Savadia business. The company's first product, Amber Connect, took advantage of a gap in the security sector with one of its world's most powerful AI-powered solutions for fleet management and consumer vehicle trafficking. Dushyant, I want to ask you a question. Do you know anything about the disruption as it relates to September 3rd? As it relates to the general election? I'm just asking you a question, sir. I'm not accusing you. Are you the one who is responsible for the disruption? I'm just asking a question. Not accusing you. Thus far, I have no evidence. Let me say that categorically clear. But I'm asking you these questions based on your ability. AI-powered solutions, right? For vehicle tracking, based on your capability for tracking and do all what you can do and disrupt what you can disrupt. I am asking you these questions. On the night you merged with NNN, Big Mama. The application success now in use in more than 30 countries. Established Amber Group reputation for effective software solutions in just 8 years. Amber Group has developed another 10 business lines, unified of the objectives to make lives better and more straightforward for everyday people and business. The wide-ranging portfolio offers solutions in e-commerce, social impact, crowdfunding, and aviation. Looking ahead, the CEO predicts a need in the future for affordable domestic air travel and the need to level up recreational aviation experiences in the tourism market. From its headquarters in Jamaica, Amber Group globally reached from offices in 5 countries across 4 continents. Dushyant is also keen to focus on education and infrastructure in Jamaica. So far, we have not seen where your input increase any of this that you're talking about in terms of infrastructure in Jamaica. If you get these two things right, it will be a massive leap forward of the nation in collaboration with Jamaica government and journalists. The Amber Art Coding Academy, Coding Academy was founded to create a highly skilled workforce in Jamaica. We want to export cutting-edge technology in Jamaica rather than just utilizing the Caribbean landscape. Nearly 500 students are being trained, and the first 2 cohorts have graduated with guaranteed jobs. The academy has committed to funding 400,000 more students and is keen to expand initiative in high schools in Jamaica. The Indian-born Jamaica citizen remains deeply committed to development in the country. The DISCAIMER is also appointed as ambassador and special investment envoy for technology for the government of Jamaica, which is Andrew Holness. So directly you are working for Andrew Holness. Directly, DISCAIMER, you are working for Andrew Holness. I am grateful for the trust and confidence the nation has bestowed upon me. Andrew Holness has bestowed upon you, not the nation. As an ambassador, I will leverage my knowledge to attract investment and economic growth. We are not seeing that economic growth, DISCAIMER. No, we are seeing that economic growth. We can harness innovation to address some of our society's most pressing challenges. The DISCAIMER connection to Jamaica is deeply personal as well. We have not seen where your input, you understand, bring online. None of this what you are talking about, sir. So Mystic Sensation is asking you a question, right? If you know anything about the disruption for September 3rd, let us take this away. Let us take this away. Yes, it is going to attract some attention here. We know it. So then I'm just asking you the question, sir. Right? If you know anything, I'm not accusing you. Right? If you know anything as it relates to disruption, right? In that particular time, September 3rd, we want to know if you know anything to the fact that you have engaged with Big Mama, right? And we receive digital interruption. You are someone who solidly have a very high knowledge, very skillful. You're one of the maverick. Do you know anything? I'm just asking you a question. I'm not accusing you. Do you know anything about that disruption? And why would you have that disruption? That's all I'm asking. All right. Now we just want Jamaican people to understand what the maverick is doing. Let us go back to sharing another document. Let us just move this, remove that. Right? Let us go back to another sharing of document. What we want to know as it relates to what you have seen there, and asking Mr. DISCAIMER if he knows anything about the interruption. Huh? We have seen where Paul Buchanan was leading, and all of a sudden, right, disruption happened. We have seen a delay for a long length of time. My Jamaican people, they're asking the question. We have seen a delay for a long length of time between Paul Buchanan and Andrew Holness. And where even Emily Shields was even curious about the vote not moving. Other persons, right, were curious. But you have one person on the panel who, batting for the GLP, is saying that, okay, by the end of the night, Andrew Holness will come out as winner. I don't know if he's making that statement based on presumption or making that statement based on things that he would have been aware of. And so then he was certain that the system was going to be disrupted and Andrew Holness was going to emerge as the winner. Why am I asking these questions? I am asking these questions as a result of what Paul Buchanan been saying. That particular constituency, as it relates to the volume of voters, I've never have gotten that in the history of that constituency. So then, when we see the signs of this disruption, the delay in the counting, because we witnessed that. And here we have a tech specialist, a maverick, who's very savvy as it relates to certain disruption. I am asking if you know anything about the disruption. Just ask him. Now, Sister Spinks, you want to say anything on the matter or you want me to move on?
Yeah, I have a lot to say on the subject, Uncle Byron. I have a lot to
Speak on the
say.
subject, sister.
Because first thing I would like to correct that young lady in regarding to she has a concern that everybody has a concern, but I want to correct one little bit of information that she put out there. The original communication network that we have in Jamaica is slow, coming from cable and wireless, as everybody's supposed to know. Flow established their towers. When digital came in as a second option of communication for us, instead of building their own towers, they actually piggyback off Flow towers and they pay a rental fee to cable and wireless or Flow to use their towers. And they're not the only person that uses those days. You have TV stations, TVN and TVJ, and some radio station uses the Flow towers and just pay them a fee instead of building a tower next to their tower or near their tower. Sometimes it's cheaper to maintain just one tower by the original person and the other persons are just tenants there on the tower. But we have the concern because the only time I've seen it both communication services went down as well as radio stations and TV is only when you have hurricanes in Jamaica. So unless there was a hurricane in September that we did not know about, I will say no more on that subject matter. Now let us look at Amber. Amber. Let me remind Jamaicans that Amber was given the job or the contract to collect all COVID data during the COVID period, and that data conveniently got hacked and leaked. I am just reminding Jamaicans on that piece of information. Let me repeat myself. During COVID, Amber was given the contract to control and retrieve all COVID information, and somehow conveniently that information was hacked and released. Amber still has not given us a reason or find the culprit behind the act until this day. So why are we surprised about what happened on September 3rd? I am not. Another point I would like to point out is that the guy in charge of Amber was the one behind bringing the Indians here to Jamaica that Andrew was parading around and giving
Wow, I never know that. I
for
know
a
that.
while. And I would like to connect the other dot Apart from the Indian here that he brought from India, Jamaica, remember the plane that landed at Norman Washington Manual Airport full of Indians was an unscheduled flight that came directly from India. And it happened shortly after that fear was here on its tour around the island. Another dot to connect, another dot to connect
You are
is
saying
that
something.
Andrew has an Indian man as his accountant. That Indian man is a consultant to Faisal Williams in the Ministry of Finance presently as we speak. So the Indians have control of our communications and our money, yet we Jamaicans are blocked out from this information. No, I want to ask Andrew a question. We remember that debate between Andrew and Mark that evening, and he said that being born here does not make us Jamaican. No, Andrew accepts this Indian man who owns Amber in his clutches, in his arms, giving him private data, having access to our election, right? Yet he does not accept Mark, who was born here. Make that make sense to me.
All right.
He embraces this Indian man. He embraces the Indian accountant. He embraces the Indian sales, but he cannot embrace Mark. Make that make sense to me. And remember, Jamaicans, remember that trip that Andrew made to India with
Sphinx,
Tamina Johnson.
Sphinx,
Yeah,
might be the Indian money winning an election for him. So that's the reason why he's
pardon me?
the Indian man and
Pardon
not
me?
Mark. They might be.
I didn't hear you.
I'm saying might be the Indian man has the potential to win an election for him. Right? That's why he's embracing the Indian man and not Mark. Okay.
Yeah. And I just need to remember that um, after the ICA report came out, Tamina Johnson was scheduled to go to India to open a Jamaican embassy there,
Yes.
and he went with her, and he was not scheduled to be on that trip with her, because he was hiding for about a couple of weeks before facing the parliament after his IC report came out was tabled. Remember
Yes.
that, Jamaicans. And what did the Indian Prime Minister say? I remember the words that he said to Andrew while he was there. And I yield the floor to you,
All
Uncle
right.
Brian.
Thank you for that input. Now, I have to question these things as it relates to what we have seen transpire there, right? Based on these factors, we are just asking these questions, right? Let us get into more intriguing matter, right? Let me just go to share the information with us here. All right, let us get into the matter here. Sharing this clip. All right.
mention Chichimante. When Daryl Voss played that song, which is like a throwaway song towards you.
I don't know if he's making references to people in his party, because a lot of times people mix up people. So it could be the wrong Rasta man. Words don't mean nothing. Come touch me now, touch a button now. When I entered this space, no member of parliament died, no councillor died, no murders took place to put me in power.
All right. I love how ISAT just, just take that and just cement that. Right? I love it. Yeah, or I start just punch. That's a good punch. Now, why I start said that? That when he entered, right, in that space, right, no one died. Big statement. Let us see why I thought would have mentioned that in terms of this Jamaica Labour Party kleptocratic government. We know them, we know that they're affiliated with the Shower Posse, right? We know the series of killings, right? But quite concerning as it relates to East Portland. We are going back there, people. We are going back there. What really transpired as it relates to Paul Buchanan? How did he, lose his life? Did he lose his life to have a segue for others to come and gain political advantage? Was the politics so nasty that it mix and mingle with violence? And for one to thrust forward, they have to eliminate. Number 3, someone to get ahead. All interesting when we play the next clip as it relates to the person who now deceased. What is going on in Jamaica, my people? What is going on in Jamaica? Now let us bleed into this.
You need to act, but you want Portland Road. Barbican good, but you want Portland Road. Constant Spring Road good, but you want Portland Road. Junction get good, but you want Portland Road. They need to tell us where the $3.1 billion them to go there. January, we need it now. Frontier and mash up. Rural development and not just agriculture. We have shop. We have beauty salon. We have bank. We have school. We have health center. We have hospital. We live a life like them. We need our road now. We need our road now. We need our...
Jamaica, I want to ask a question as it relates to now deceased. Now deceased Paul Buchanan said something that a lot of people may have missed. But investigators who dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. Paul Buchanan asked a question that he wants to know what happened to the $31 billion that was allotted to fix the roads that he was now speaking about. Interesting. Was it that the question that Paul Buchanan raised could have caused Paul Buchanan life? Or, as I said earlier, a deeper, sinister move that someone wants to get him out of the way to gain political mileage? Let us give some reference to history as we know it to be true. Let us look on the Jamaica Labour Party in the reflection of 1980. Would a party that's seeking political mileage go to the extreme in killing over 100 and 100 and odd elderly to get into power? Now we know, based on investigation, based on CIA document, based on this revelation that was done by the Jamaica Labour Party, that the Eventide home was burned to the ground. Over 100 and odd elderly died for the party to seek political momentum to get themselves in power, to carry out an atrocity to blame Michael Manley. But we further learned that it was the Jamaica Labour Party who had carried out that atrocity. Now let us turn the mirror to Portland as to why Buchanan was killed. Was it the similar nature of the Jamaica Labour Party? The rotten snake they are that move to number 3 anyone that stand in their way to gain political mileage. Let us shape some reflection as it relates to James Robertson. James Robertson as it relates to allegation planning the death of 2 persons, where the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Leslie Green, gathered the evidence, and as according to Leslie Green, no doubt to him, Leslie Green, that there was sufficient evidence collected to have him charged and arrested. But the DPP did not back him, did not support him. That is what Les Green is saying. So what is it that we are looking at the Jamaica Labour Party? The level of aggression, violence associated with the shower posse that caused thousands of lives. This party seems to have a hold on Jamaica. The cruelty, the corruption. And so then when we look on these things in history, we ask ourselves the question, what is it that we haven't seen a People's National Party member of Parliament name called in atrocities like these? Why is it so different from the People's National Party? Because indeed, the People's National Party is really a political party. Is it to say that a mobster, a higher power that create such a gang powerful to cement themselves, transform themselves into a political platform? Why am I saying this? Saying this as it relates to the level of association with the shower posse. Saying this as a result of when Dudus Cook was charged, it is the Jamaica Labour Party came out to afford him lawyer from taxpayers' money. So what are we looking on today as we speak? A Jamaica Labour Party, so-called political party, that camouflage itself carefully, using the pretext of being a political party, but indeed a terrible gangster, one of the most dangerous gang in Jamaica, that on rampage to put us in catastrophe. These are questions that we are asking based on the association of the Jamaica Labour Party with criminal network. Am I not to ask these questions? When we look at the 2 parties, we are seeing what we call a total, complete difference. One that acts in the ambit of the law, and the other that breaks down constitutional norms, corrupt a criminal justice system, a one that involved in scamming Jamaican investors, billions of dollars, a one that on the mission to wreck an economy. A one that, when you look at it, so many times, members of parliament from within the Jamaica Labour Party robbing our Ministry of Education. And the list goes on. Nastier than before. Worse than before under the Andrew Holness-led administration. The series of corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and skullduggery. Why are we not seeing the same with the People's National Party? And for those and them who say that they are one of a kind, can you show the proof today where they are one of the kind? It is the People's National Party that always go in power and try their endeavor best in putting them into prison. One may have asked, as it relates to a lunatic in Portland, saying that all what the PNP know about is when they come in power, they talk about who they are going to put in jail and put in jail, put in this and put in that. Then I'm asking myself the question, why not do likewise? Why the Jamaica Labour Party is unable to put the People's National Party member of parliament in jail? And then all the evidence that we have and the record that we have is the People's National Party putting them in jail. So then, I don't understand. As it relates to the history and the record, showing that the People's National Party indeed is different. A party that geared on policies, programs in pushing a country forward versus a party that geared in creating mayhem for the citizens of Jamaica through trickery, deceitfulness, scamming, corruption, nepotism, cronyism, skullduggery, and the list goes on. Andrew Holness had led himself and led an administration that is the worst of its kind. Let us get into more juggling. Right? And so then, do you have anything to share, Madam Spinks? Or we can move on if you don't have anything to share. You have anything to share?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while for the unmute to mute.
Yes.
Yeah. But I endorse 100% what ISAT Buchanan has just said in that statement.
Yes.
Because we who understand the politics here know the history of Portland and that seat. We also Dr. Bloomfield being there as our PNP member of parliament there, being a very good doctor in the community, giving his service freely to people who would need him as a medical doctor. And while he was there, unfortunately, he was murdered in his home. We all know that Anna Valls was campaigning for his seat before he was murdered.
Hold on the space. Hold on there. Sorry to be saying, Paul Buchanan, as Speedy said, right? Yeah, Bloomfield. Sorry, my dear Speedy, and thanks for the correction. All right.
No problem. That's why we are here, to help each other.
And I have some wonderful people that need to correct me. Thank you, Speedy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So basically, Action Ann was campaigning for that seat before Dr. Bloomfield was murdered. Now, after he was murdered, the person of interest was taken to court and given bail. And while the person was there at court, he was a poor, relatively poor person of society who had a high-paying lawyer service representing him before the court. The person was given bail and then the person went missing for a while. Rumor has it that the person is back in Portland. I have yet to confirm that from my sources out of Portland, but the circumstances around Dr. Bloomfield's murder is just as suspicious when you hear the same last name being whispered around the suspicious death of Diane Smith, this young lady. So let us see. Husband has suspicious death around his name. Wife has suspicious death around her name. So you have to be careful and think on these things because these are the issues you have to think about when you're electing people. And I yield the floor to you.
All right. Something for that. Now let us get into something that is very interesting here. Right? Very interesting. So we want to share this, and as it relates to the bullyism in the Jamaican Labour Party, not easy, you know, people. Not easy at all. Not easy at all. Right? But let us get into this matter. Okay. Transparency and POA matter. Bang around this. Now, when we talk about the bullyism and we talk about GLP operative, so we have put up in picture. Is this man doing service to the Jamaican people? Are we more in line to do service for the Jamaican Labour Party? I presume that Mr. Commissioner Blake, based on his actions, seems more likely that he's engaged to carry out GLP mandate of corruption. And so then he's now showing his hands to be a political operative. Now, to be about it in terms of his decision making. His decision making doesn't center around, you know, service to Jamaica as the chief officer. So let us read. This newspaper confessed to being somewhat perplexed, confused about the basis for the purported removal of Wayne Cameron as president of the Police Officers Association by his boss, the Commissioner of Police, Kevin Blake. Why was he moved? Why did he make a decision like this? In that regard, the Gleaner urges Dr. Blake to urgently provide the public with further and better particulars of the specific legal grounds of his actions. Of course, we want to know. We want to know why. Lest it be perceived as irregular, strange, high-handed, or vindictive, more like vindictive. And the matter becomes a source of tension and division in the police force that negatively impacts public trust in the organization. You wouldn't want to do that. Bring the police in unity, transparency, accountability, checks and balance in terms of doing the right and appropriate thing. We, of course, appreciate that. With a decline in crime rate, especially a 40% drop in the murders so far this year, Dr. Blake, at this time, which we know said that crime rate, that figure that they are touting is lie. These are the things we talk about when we say a government need to build on transparency. Speak the truth to the people. How many people in Jamaica, how many persons in Jamaica believe the crime reduction that you're touting? Right? Many people believe that you're lying. Enjoy significant goodwill among Jamaicans whose confidence in the constabulary has been on an upswing, which is precisely why not only clarity matters, exactly, but an assurance that everything has been done in accordance with the law. This is what we're talking about. The rules and in good faith, this too, so that the Jamaican Constabulary Force doesn't find itself mired in a protracted legal battle or public relations nightmare. The finger details of this issue, which is where the devil usually resides, remain fuzzy, dark, clouded, confusing. To us, no clarity in the matter. What has emerged so far from the police high command's side of the ledger is the commissioner's announcement on Monday declaring that Mr. Cameron, as senior superintendent of police, has been removed as chairman of the PO and would no longer be granted audience with the high command and is not permitted to represent the Jamaica Constabulary Force outside of the official duty. This is unlawful, sir. Mr. Commissioner, your action is unlawful. But what is your objective in disciplining this police officer? What is your primary objective? Your primary objective, because of might be whatever that you are accusing him of, you break the law by doing what you have done in the way you go about this, in the way you went about this. Just believe that the power invested in you as a commissioner of police, that you can breach protocol. You're breaking the law, sir. So then, what position are you in breaking the law to accuse your subordinate? That's the question I'm asking you. How would you find yourself in the balance of transparency while you are breaking the law outrightly? You need to answer the public. And this is what we are saying. Dr. Blake directed that the POA select a temporary chairman who would prepare for a special general meeting to elect a new head of the organization. Again, sir, you are in breach. Again, you are breaking the law. You are breaking the appropriate SOP, standard operating procedure. So then, let me ask you the question. Is it okay for you being the head of the police force, abusing your authority, that you can force this man out without observing protocol? And that is the way how you want to run things? Because you are now appeasing Andrew Holness and appeasing the Jamaica Labour Party. Shame on you. Shame on you, Mr. Blake. Let me take it away. Right? Shame on you, Mr. Blake. Right? Your service is to be for the Jamaican people. Right? You're not giving service to Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party. Your service is to be with the Jamaican public at large. But obviously, that is what you are not dealing with transparency. Let us delve a little bit deeper where you come under the scrutiny right? Now, transparency in POA matter. Now, let us get a little bit deeper, right? Okay, so obviously this is a repeat of this document. I don't want to go back, read back over this document. I close out. Okay. Sorry about that, my listeners. Let me get to the document that I want to get to. Okay. So, Spinks, does this document share? Are you seeing this document?
Is a document on the stage right now on the.
Okay, so you're not seeing it. Okay.
I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing myself and you.
Okay, sorry about that. Let us get to the last document of the day. Now, Mr. Commissioner, is it shared now? Spinks is supposed to share now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Bust up between cops, alarms, JCTU, and of course, because the commissioner acted out of protocol. Union raises concern over police commissioner's action against POA chairman. Of course, September 11, 2025. And why not? The commissioner act illegally. Let me put up your face with the people I'm here. So you want a mission to appease Andrew Wallace. You want a mission to appease Jamaica Labour Party. You are breaking the law, Commissioner of Police. And do you think, let me ask you, do you think you have the right to break the law, to discipline your subordinate? So what sort of example are you setting? And that I want the public to know. What sort of example you are setting when you are breaching protocol, breaking the law in the so-called means of discipline your subordinate? It simply means, right, you are disregarding the laws and so forth. You're a dictator. You, sir, are a dictator like your boss, Andrew Wallace, because you are appeasing Andrew Wallace. The Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions says it is deeply alarmed by a directive given by the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake. Of course. Of course. So then, is either you don't know your function, you don't know your responsibility, and so then you are either breaking laws ignorantly or you are breaking laws intentionally. So then, sir, none of the two that I spoke about is good for you. If you are breaking the law ignorantly, sir, it simply means ignorancy to the law, and by breaking it is no excuse. And if you're breaking it intentionally, what it means that you are acting out of your bounds. You are a dictator. You are saying that you are not paying any regards to the laws that establish and the protocol that establish. We can get into this now. You're a so-called academia. You're a man who so-called with brilliant mind. So we can reason this. We can reason it out. Two things about this. Either you're breaking it intentionally or you have broken the law, right, ignorantly. And so then let us speak. If you do it ignorantly, well, guess what? Breaking the law ignorantly is no excuse, sir. And if it is intentionally, you are disrespectful. You are disregarding the policies and standard operating procedures that have already provided and have established itself on the basis of what been there. Now, ordering that chairman of the Police Officers Association, Senior Superintendent Wayne Cameron, vacate his post and being denied recognition by the police high command, you are dead wrong, sir. In a statement under the signature of JCTU, President St. Patrice Ennis, the union body urged the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to intervene in order to uphold both national and international labor standards. Have you heard that, Mr. Blake? Have you seen the calamity of your decision? What you have caused? Whether ignorantly or intentionally, have you seen the calamity? Any sworn that failure on the part of the ministry to act would leave the JCTU with no option but to escalate the issue to the International Labour Organization. And it's told Gleaner that the JCTU would allow the ministry at least 14 days to intervene before it takes the matter to the ILO. On Monday, the police commissioner issued a release indicating that the POA chairman would no longer be granted audience at the level of the high command, the way you outer order and bright, and the way you heavy-handed want to show now the world that you run things like Andrew Holness, you're a big dictator. That's why Andrew Holness put you there. Blake said the senior police officer would also not be permitted to represent gazetted officers outside of his official duty. Now, let me tell you something, Jamaica. One would want to say, don't blame Andrew Holness because Andrew Holness' employment is the Service Commission. The Service Commission is a puppet for Andrew Holness. You don't see that, Jamaica? If Andrew Holness don't want Blake to become Commissioner of Police, Service Commissioner, them could have might as he would have to be rejected. So the Service Commission is a puppet for Andrew Holness as it relates to Andrew Holness' kleptocratic government. You know, see how they are doing as it relates to the DPP? You're going to tell me that when it comes to a Cathy and Pike over a Keisha Prince Kamika, how did Keisha Prince Kamika advance in the process and Cathy and Pike drop out? We can talk about the Service Commission a bit. You know, sit there and do honest influencer work. So the three persons who left there are three JLPs operative. So we don't look that stuff. We don't care about that stuff. Anybody pick. Whether Keisha want to pick or Thompson want to be picked. Right? Or the other person want to be picked. It makes no sense. We need not to argue. They're operative. So don't come and sell the public like the Service Commission, you understand, is doing a trustworthy work. You already cook you up. You not cook it up. So if you not cook it up, then it's strong which I feel. You cook it up. You not put in no scallion and thyme, onion and all of them seasoning there. You not cook up the pot, season up the pot. You not season it up. JCTU said this unprecedented action strikes at the heart of freedom of association, undermines democratic representation, and places Jamaica in direct violation of its obligations under the Constitution and core ILO conventions. Take this document away. Let us take that document away and get back to our platform. Like because we present the evidence. So we know that the Service Commission handicapped by Andrew Holness' influence. Benefit never handicapped. How could you have Dennis Strong, Chief of Police? So then when you are present now to give us as DPP, Andrew Holness can't put any one of them because any one of them You understand? A GLP operative. GLP operative. So now, what I want like you want to fix up tree, this commission and fix up tree, and I talk about them do vigorous, you understand, background and all of them vigorous checks there. So yeah, you compromise. You know, like what Mystic Sensation I said, you know, compromise. And so then now let me turn to Sister Things. Right, this is the last matter. What say you?
Yes, Uncle Byron. This reminds me of the situation last year before the GLP had their annual conference when Horizon came out and announced to the public that some members would not be returning as their representative to their constituencies. Some of the GLP representatives would not be returning to the constituencies and would be retiring from politics. And I think Delroy Chuck was one of them. And right up into their conference last year, November, there was a little bit of cascas going on between Horiston and Delroy Chuck. That even Delroy Chuck was so upset that even on their annual conference Sunday, he did not bring any of his people with him at his conference from his constituency because he was so upset with their Horiston. It's the whole point of them making a public announcement before actually doing the action or making any consultation with the person or the party involved in the situation is to embarrass the person publicly. And that is why they went across against protocol. Because normally if you're going to move somebody from the position, you're supposed to have a conversation with the person. You're supposed to start the process, have a conversation, how the process goes through, and then you make the announcement, not the other way around. And you have to have reason to do it. But Dr. Kevin Grant, we know that there are guilty operatives, and SSP Warren Cameron wasn't the only one who was affected by this sudden shuffle too, because senior superintendent, senior Sue Stephanie Lindsay was also removed from her original position, and we have not heard back from her as to what is happening with her, if she's going to go into the new position or stay in her old position. But we've been hearing about Wayne Cameron. Now, Wayne Cameron did the right thing when he took the case to court, and the court ordered, the Supreme Court to be exact, offered an injunction, to stop this thing from happening. So let us see what is happening in the future, because the case will continue for a while, and we will know what, if this police officer is removed. And then the worst part about it is this: after the court granted the injunction, then you have Dr. Kevin Grant now is making the allegation against SSP Wayne Cameron that the man is being investigated for fraud. And that is the reason you're asking the man to be removed from his position. Oh, please. If I was SSP Wayne Cameron, I would definitely file a defamation suit against Dr. Kevin Grant, the commission, because obviously he's trying to dig this man into a pit. We saw what they did with the man, the police officer, who fought tooth and nail for the police overtime and won the case in court. We saw how he was victimized, and here we see another top rank officer being victimized by the system again. JLP government needs to realize that this new generation of people, we no longer want to live in a corrupt country where the subculture is accepted to be corrupt. It's okay to bribe your way in. I said earlier, the 1.4 billion that they spent paying people to vote and people not to vote or whatever ways to manipulate the system and the voters. It is the salaries that the police officers were supposed to get in their overtime. It's the salaries of the nurses. It's the salaries of the firemen. It's the salary of the teachers. It's the salary of the government pharmacy. It's the salary of the government doctors. All civil servant salaries was hijacked. Just like how you would hijack a plane, just like how you would have the stagecoach robberies back in the Wild Wild West. You've seen in many cowboy movies. That is exactly what they did. They hijacked the salaries of the civil servants and used those money and paid out to people not to vote or to vote, and just to manipulate the system whatever way they could, just for them to have a win. And what did they win? Just by 5 seats. Just by 5 seats. All this robbing and skullduggery for 5 seats. And yet we stand strong as PNP going forward with 28, with the power now to challenge them on every dollar being spent. Civil servants, we are going after your money because Darius needs to tell us how we got the $1.4 billion from your salary to buy these so-called recycled metals from America that are unreal, that are endangering our children. Yes, even recently, today I saw a clip of a bus being broken down with students and students had to walk to school. Does that make any sense? Jamaicans, when you think about these things, when you think of your vote, think of who you're supporting. We want to remove corruption from this country. We are fighting for it. That is why we are here every day fighting for it. Every time we step on this program, we are fighting for removal of corruption. And the only way to remove corruption is remove the head of the spring of the corruption. And the head of the spring is Andrew Holness, because as you see, the police commissioner is also corrupt. You go down the line, several people down the line are corrupt, permanent secretaries are corrupt, members of parliament are corrupt from the GLP side. And we have to root them out. And the only way to remove the weed from the grass is to remove it from the root, uproot it from the root, and we plan to dig in and remove every corrupt GLP member of parliament. From that side, we need to remove them because we need to remove the stain from our country forever. And I yield the floor to you, Uncle Byron.
All right, my Jamaican people, here we have it as the vibration. Give it us at what, 7 p.m. time. Is that supposed to be time? Right? And so then we see you later. We want to take first to pass through. Sister Spring, thank you so much. Right, to be here. Unfortunately, Virgin not here, but I did London. But he'll be here later. Right, so be yourself. See you, my Jamaican people. Later. All right, let yourself. One love. And walk good. I forget whether that's
I don't want you to come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.